Hey, what's good, everybody? It's BDF44. So I'm sitting up here thinking about the draft that's coming up, as I always do. Try to just, go over video footage of different prospects in the range that my team is going to be drafting in. And as I did a video on my predictions of yesterday, I'd like to kind of just further talk about, or rather discuss, what's going on with the players in the range that the Lakers are going to be drafting in. So, um, yeah, here's my thing. DeAndre Hunter, as I mentioned yesterday, is someone that the Lakers are, um, taking a look at, someone in their range. If any other team were picking fourth, I don't believe that Hunter would be someone that they'd be targeting at four. I think he doesn't fall too much further down than maybe 7 or 8. I don't think he falls past, let's say, the Hawks, one of the Hawks' 2 picks in the first round. I'm not saying the guy should be, pushed to the back of the draft or anything stupid. I'm just saying that when I look at the players at the top of the draft, obviously we know the top three, but then the fourth pick is like, okay, you have the best of the rest. I want to make sure I take the guy that looks as if he was touched by the basketball gods with an extraordinary gift. That's what I like to look for. Some people look for fitting a need, like for whatever it is that you're building. Others want to look for length. You know what I mean? If to get the tallest guy, reach for a Taco Fall or reach for somebody like Bol Bol or something like that, just because you've seen certain things work out with those types of players in the recent past. I think that is a mistake. I think that following the current landscape, in other words, if you are looking at the way the NBA is structured in the present, and you draft based on how the NBA is structured, you fail before you even really get started, because the NBA is an ever-changing entity. Teams can change just with the emergence of a couple bench players, can change the whole dynamic of a squad. You look at the Boston Celtics, did they really change their roster in any way, shape, or form? No. They had guys come back and the other guys had to take backseat roles, and as a result, they had different results. I think at the end of the day, when you are looking at an NBA draft, if you're in the middle of the draft or you're in the second round, yeah, it's fine to do all kinds of different things. You can reach for guys. You can, you know, do different things with your prospects, and take whatever just fits the need or what have you. But when you're in the top of the draft, it's so important that you just take the guy that God touched with abilities, somebody that just, no matter what place you place them in, they're going to do what it is that they do best, and they're going to do it better than most. That's what you take at the fourth pick in the draft. I don't care what sport it is. That should be the mentality, in my opinion. If the Blazers would have ignored the fact that they had Clyde Drexler and just drafted Michael Jordan, they would have had Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler and about 6 rings to show for it. That's where I don't want the Lakers to do. We're saying, oh well, today we have LeBron James at 34 years old, and today we have a deal in place that maybe we get a chance to get Anthony Davis. So that means we need a small forward. So let's just get a guy who's going to be able to win now, and to get the oldest guy in that range because he's going to be able to help. Like, that's just the dumbest way of thinking, in my opinion. I don't care about today. Honest to God, I'm not in the draft to get something that I think is going to help me now. If I luck up and I get a Tim Duncan, or I luck up and get a Dame Lillard, or I luck up and get someone like a Ben Simmons or something, great. Someone who can help me right away, a Donovan Mitchell, great. But those rookies don't come around very often. You don't get Luka Doncic every often. You don't get Trey Youngs every often. Those guys don't come around like that. So when you're in range to get a guy in a fourth pick, you make sure you take somebody who was touched by God, like all those guys I just mentioned. You know what I mean? Who have a God-given ability to just do what it is that they do best. You know what I mean? And do it in a way that's just extraordinary. The players that I've seen in my research thus far that have that ability in the range the Lakers are taking, there's 2 guys that have that ability. It's Garland and Cam Reddish, from what I've seen. Of course, there's so much more to see. There's so much more to study, and I'm not a genius basketball mind or a player or anything like that. So what I'm looking for may not be what the scouts are looking for. I accept my ignorance. but I've been watching this game since I was 9 years old, and I'm 35 this year. And I've been not only watching it, but studying it and paying very close attention to different things and trends and transactions and crap like that is very interesting to me. So I think I know what I'm talking about when I say drafting for need is always a mistake. You draft for upside, you draft for talent, and you draft because you're ready to invest in a player. If you are not ready to invest in that player's everything, and I'm talking about his development, his ups and downs off the court, all that stuff. If you are not completely committed to drafting that player, then you must trade that draft pick and get something that is already ready to help you go. Draft picks are more valuable than regular players. That's the thing that a lot of GMs don't appear to understand. Draft picks, the option of picking from a field, an open field, is so much more valuable than having a single player already drafted and then saying, okay, that is what we're getting with its strengths and its weaknesses. It's the option of such that makes it so valuable, which is why we can get back a Bradley Beal if we give up the fourth pick. You can bring back a player of that caliber because a player of that caliber has already been paid. It's probably taking up more cap space than his timeline or the team's timeline probably would like him to in a 9 out of 10 times if they're willing to trade him for a draft pick. Maybe they don't plan on re-signing a guy like that. So you're taking on salary in exchange for something that's going to be valuable in the sense that whatever the rookie does on the floor is not going to cost against the cap because he's a rook, or it's only going to cost but so much because he's rookie. So it's like a guy like Zion Williamson. It's one of the best contracts in the league as soon as he's drafted. If I'm to assume he's going to come in right away and be a star, which I am, he's one of the most valuable players in the league because it's not costing you anything to have his production on your team. So that's the beauty of having rookies and first-year players and second-year players until they sign that first big boy contract after their fourth year, I believe it is. Yeah, you got them and they're not even taking up nothing. So if they're super productive, guess what? You can stack the deck by having a bunch of those guys, a bunch of young productive players, and some guys that you can pay to do the job. So it's like, for me, if I'm Anthony Davis, I understand the bridge is burned and all of that in New Orleans, but the fact that the young fella's going to be on a rookie contract means that the Pelicans are going to be one of the most flexible teams in the NBA, especially when Anthony Davis leaves. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be able to stack the deck if they really want to, if they really, really want to. And with David Griffin in place, they should be able to pull that off. So, yeah, that's my opinion about that. But back to the draft situation, I just hope that the Lakers are considering the fact that though Garland has had a heck of a knee injury, it's not that heck of a knee injury, but he's had a knee injury that ended his season in college. It's completely healed as of this point. He's only 19 years old, so you just put him in the strength and conditioning program, and you keep your expectations for that young 19-year-old player down. You understand that he has a natural ability to score, but you also understand it's going to take him a couple years to get strong, and you commit yourself to that. You understand that. You don't get pissed off after year 2 when he's not shooting 47% from the three-point line. You don't get mad at him when he's turning the ball over a lot because he's a freaking kid. The one thing these last 7-8 years have taught the Lakers and Laker fans is that we recently understand, that means it ain't too far in the back of our memory, what it means to watch people grow up in basketball. Like, we watched Kobe grow up and he stayed a superstar all this time, so we really didn't need to invest in the development of players. But over the last several years, we've had guys come into our team, struggle as kids, and then flourish as they leave us. We know it was a mistake giving up on just about everybody we've given up on the last several years. I mean, the list of young players is plentiful. It's like 10 guys that we've given up on that have upside and that have gone on to either do good things in this league or look like they're on the verge of doing good things in this league. I'm talking about Thomas Bryant. I'm talking about D'Angelo Russell. I'm talking about Larry Nance Jr., Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson. I mean, it's Zubats. And those are the young guys. We're not even going to get into the older guys that we let go that are tearing things up in the playoffs. It's just, at some point in time, you have to realize that what you have isn't bad. You just got to wait on it. And in this case, with the draft, let us be the team that doesn't make the Darko Milicic mistake. Can I just say that? Seriously. Can we not be Detroit? Because that's exactly what this comes down to. Are you going to be Detroit when they had Carmelo Anthony there to take? And they took Darko Milicic because they felt they had a stacked deck and couldn't use Carmelo Anthony properly. Wouldn't be able to give him the usage that he deserved. They knew he was more talented than Darko, but they figured they could use Darko because he was a unicorn, so to speak. Tall Euro guy that could stretch the floor a little bit. They thought that that was going to be something that they could stash, still have their starting five of superstars and bring him along slowly. And it failed. It failed because they didn't take the best player on the board. Take the best player on the board. I believe that's Garland. Scouts will do a better job to tell me if it is or not. But please, don't just take Hunter because he's tall and he can stretch the floor. That's some Darko Milicic shit. Seriously. All right? So that's all I got to say. Everybody have a great one. Peace.